Hey everybody, so today I'm going to cover tenons. I guess if you're over on the other side of the pond, you guys call them spigots. But basically on the bottom of a piece that you're turning, a bowl, platter, whatever, you turn a stub that allows your four-jaw chuck to attach properly. So two different ways to do it. You can do a tenons that stick out or a tenon that is recessed. I never personally use a recessed tenon. You're taking the thickness and the strength away from the bottom of the piece where it's most needed. I suppose there's probably reasons to do them that way. But especially if you're turning bowls or something where you need a really good positive grip that you don't want to pop off, you're much better off using an external tenon like this one. So another key, I'm not really going to go over tenon size as far as, like this piece, the tenon is, 35-40% of the diameter. When I do a coring video, I'll talk a little bit more about tenon sizing to a piece. For me, it's a little bit tricky because I do green to finish for most of my work. And I don't like turning a piece and then reducing the foot. So generally I keep my tenons on a smaller size or smaller side for my own personal work, unless I'm doing rough outs for other wood turners. So that said, the biggest common mistake that I see when people are putting a tenon on a piece is number one, the angle of the wall doesn't match their jaw. So I tend to use, I think I pretty much exclusively use the dovetail jaw at this point. But you want to make sure that all four jaws are coming almost completely closed on this tenon. You don't want spaces, or at least not much, between those jaw plates. The more space you have, the more, or the less hold power you have, the more likely you are to, if you have a catch or you screw up or take too heavy of a cut, you could pop the tenon out of the jaw and have a piece go flying. So I'm gonna go over just really quick steps on how to put a tenon onto a blank properly, and hopefully it'll help everybody a bit. So it's the chuck that I'm gonna use to size the tenon. So just simply take a set of dividers, figure out about where you need to be. So that's about what I usually shoot for as far as a gap. If I was doing a finish turn, I could go a little bit closer, but as this is gonna be a once turn piece, I'm leaving just a little space so when this dries and the tenon shrinks, I'll be able to still use the same chuck as it goes out around. So I'll do a first sanding on this piece tomorrow after the outside dries a little bit, and then I do a final buffing sand at the end. So I generally try to keep my tenon size that they will work, even if they're slightly shrunken out around. The bottom of this piece, so I'm going to take my dividers and simply mark on the piece exactly the size of that tenon. So now that I have that marked, I'm just going to make a little bit of space. So once I've removed material, I'm left with a basic tenon shape. It's the right size, but the walls aren't the right angle to meet the dovetailed jaws on my chuck. So what I highly recommend that everybody use, if you don't, get yourself a dovetail scraper. So basically it's just a scraper that has the angle that matches your chuck jaws. And you don't have to necessarily buy one that comes that way. You can take a scraper, an old one, some chunk of steel, and cut and grind the angle on it, and just keep checking the fitment with your jaw. Just keep whittling away at it until you get the angle right on your jaws. And same rules apply. Any scraper, you just So what you're left with is this nice dovetail angle. This will match my jaws perfectly. And something to be aware of, you want this face to be perfectly flat. That's what the chuck jaw references against. So if you cut a tenon and you mount this in a 4-jaw chuck and you find that your bowl is wobbling, it's likely that you're not getting a good reference between the tenon and the face here. So I'm gonna take this off, flip it around, and hopefully she'll fit perfect. All right, so got the chuck on, about to fit our tenon into the jaw. And if we've done our job right, yep, you'll see there's 0 wobble to that. You see, jaws are just about fully closed. That's about where I generally shoot for. And you'll see when I turn the lathe on that I will get 0 wobble on the blank. It's running perfectly true. All right, everybody, I hope that helps. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. If you are a wood turner that is looking for weekly tips like this one, right to your email inbox, I've left a link in the description for this video for Turning Tip Tuesdays. You'll get a free email every week with some will be little tips, some will be bigger, some will be video based, and some won't. But subscribe below and make sure you like the video. Take care, everybody.